Well, it's time to know what's on the front pages of the Nigerian newspapers, and I have with me in the studio public affairs analyst Sijibomi Adebiyi-Benet and political technocrat Dayo Kayode. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Pleasure being here.
Good morning.
So we'll look at the newspapers this morning. We'll start with the Punch newspaper. It says the recession. Experts warn states as governors justify bloated appointments. Experts warn states as governors justify bloated appointments. Business AM says Egypt faces 30 to 50 billion naira payout for Nigeria human rights violation. The Nation newspaper says fear of another NSAS protest grip Lagos, Abuja. Lagos still nursing wounds, says police. Aregbesola says a protest must be well thought out. The Blueprint says here, planned Niftrain loan from pension funds. Don't touch our money. Pensioners warn government. Planned 17 trillion naira loan from pension funds. Don't touch our money. Pensioners warn governors. The Daily Sun says PDP, APC fight over calls for Buhari's impeachment. North has become vortex of massacres. PDP Reps Caucus call baseless, unpatriotic, says APC lawmakers. That's in the Daily Sun this morning. The Daily Times says lawmakers urge Buhari's impeachment. That's in the Daily Times this morning. The Guardian is saying here, airlines raise fares to 100%. That's according to the Guardian. Airlines raise fares to 100%. We move to this day newspaper. It says Buhari expresses excitement as APC sweeps by-election. Buhari expresses excitement as APC sweeps by-elections as party still choice of Nigerians. INEC regrets assault on staff. The Vanguard says ports face total shutdown nationwide as maritime workers embark on strike over Apapa traffic gridlock. That's the Vanguard this morning. Of course, it says despite recession, firms generate 1.6 trillion naira revenue, profits up to 1.7%. The Nigerian News Direct says CRR non-compliance, Union Bank, Stanbic IBTC, others lose 2.32 trillion naira to CBN. Daily Trust says danger as recycled SIM cards flood markets and streets. Vendors register customers without ID. The act compromises national security, says experts. NCC telcos deny wrongdoing, even as shoddy deals persist. All right, we'll stick with two newspapers this morning. Starting off with the Punch newspaper, talking about recession. Experts warn states as governors justify bloated appointments. That's in the Punch newspaper this morning. The writer says, despite recession, federal government keep 145 aides, 43 ministers. Ayade won't sack 6,000 appointees. Government must spend more, that's according to Commissioner. States have too many essays. Some governors charter aircraft, says economist. That's in the Nation newspaper, the Punch newspaper rather, this morning. So we'll look at that. And of course, we'll look at that of the Nation newspaper much later, talking about the NSAS protests. Starting off with the Punch newspaper. Gentlemen, what do you think about this headline? Experts are warning states as state governors over bloated appointments.
You see, we need to understand this from the perspective of who is a democratic leader. Because there are some of them, when you tell them, why are you in politics? Or what is politics? They will tell you politics is business. But should it be business or should it be service? So it now depends on which angle that leader is coming from, whether it's business or service.
What sort of business?
Business in terms of those of them that are contributed to you becoming the governor or the president, you got to compensate them at the expense of the people that as willingly now in quote, submitted their sovereignty unto you. All right? So it's a pity what we see around now. There's a paper I'm writing presently. Democratic leadership. Ditto. Is this service or business? There I was trying to look at what is leadership even supposed to be? What is leadership supposed to be? Because these governors, the president, is supposed to be our leader. And when you look at our constitution of 1999, section 14, talks about provision of adequate security and well-being of the people. Is that what we are seeing now? No, is that what we are seeing now? Rather, you see them going around with retinue of officials. You see this one is PA to the governor, then you now see PA to the PA of the governor. You see PA to the PA of the PA of the governor. Of recent, there is a particular state that rolled out about 250 appointees. I said, for goodness sake, despite the fact that this particular state have been complaining that there is not enough money.
Governor of Cross River State just says
look at that of Governor of Cross River State.
It won't sack the 6,000 appointees.
Can you imagine? For what? And again, all these people, they bring them together so that at the end of the day, they're going to form part of their structure to get re-elected for doing nothing. And look at the prices of commodities in the market. Okay, look at that. Look at that news you just read up now. Airline increasing fare by 100%. Go and Google it. Nigeria is where we have the highest prices being paid for airfare. So we now need to look at our leaders. Are they there as a business people or to serve those who had willingly submitted their sovereignty to them?
All right, Sijibomi.
Everything is about the structure of democracy. You know, we are good at copying, but we're not good at pasting. Our peculiarities should always show in the things we copy. Nigeria is a cultural country, so cultural, and we're multicultural. The diversity is in every facet of our lives. Sometimes it will be very difficult to blame the governor, because even the Constitution already prescribes some things that you cannot compromise on. For example, every minister must at least come from each state. The works of federal character, and as it is in the federal level, we have it in the state level. So the works of the 36 ministers, for example, I think there are even 42 now, because after the 36, we now have one from each geographical region. So the works that the 42 do, or
43 according to the Punch,
yes, the 43 people do, is not more than what 10 people can do. But you have to still adhere to the tenets of the Constitution. So when you go to the states, you find the same thing. Then people are now leveraging on that loophole, because I still wonder why somebody can have 6,000 aides. I don't think it would be able to remember the names of even 800 out of those 6,000.
800K.
Yes.
100.
So it doesn't even know them. And these people are being paid from taxpayers' money. I don't have a problem if that kind of state still finds a way to, dole out dividends of democracy adequately to its citizens. I don't have a problem if that state does not come to the federal level to guarantee it for a foreign loan or a domestic loan. I don't have a problem. So far, you can manage those resources within the 6,000 and still deliver to the people. But once you have a problem with that and you're looking for loans to deliver projects to the people, you are looking for bailouts to pay salaries, then there is a problem. And I think we should think, that's why people talk about restructuring every time. It's not about geographical location, it's about mindset, it's about evolution of power. It's about harnessing your resources yourself and paying to the center. So that at the end of the day, you don't live on the center, and the center does not feed on the masses.
And this can even be picked from what I said here some times ago, that we are always learning on how to eat the cake without knowing how to bake the cake. always talking about sharing, sharing formula, without
not
talking
to make
about
it make the
production
money.
formula.
Okay, so let's look at the Nation newspaper this morning. It says here, fear of another NSAS protest grips Lagos, Abuja. Lagos still nursing wounds, says police. Aregbesola says protest must be well thought out. Another NSAS protest in the offing. Gentlemen, on social media, it was said that today is another day of reckoning. Looking at the last NSAS protests and the way it ended, what were your observations?
I think so many people are not sincere or are fearful about talking about it in terms of apportioning where the gains are and where people got it wrong. I'm not far from being a youth. And I can still
a youth by
every standard. By every standard. So I should
Except
Including me.
So I should be able to also voice my opinion. Very laudable. I think on set, even on the Tuesday that everything got out of hand, I was in the studio with you. And we made mention of some things that could make the thing go wrong. And we talked about streamlining the protest to particular places. Maybe the Lekki Toll Gate as it was at that time and Alausa. And we also talked, and I shared my experience when I was going to Apapa, that I had to pay through. Also, they were not forceful, but people were asking for monies for cardboards and tempo markers. And for you, you would rather give it than even know what is going to happen. So you could see that, and that was Sunday, 2 days before that Tuesday. You could see that there was a build-up of breakdown of law and order. Everybody was now a king or an emperor in its own domain. And on the Saturday when I was going to Alausa, after every route I was about to take had already been locked up, I said, somebody said, don't come out on Monday, everywhere will be locked up. That was when I knew this thing would get out of hand. And I don't blame the youth because they have not done that kind of thing before. I blame the leaders that were in sync with the youth, not guiding them accordingly. So that was where I think we got it wrong. And I want to quickly say something. It is highly, then let us not shy away from how the government messed it up themselves. Because we said win-win for the government, win-lose for the government, and win-win for the youth. Because they were not supposed to take some actions they took. That's history now. Now, coming to today, it will be highly insensitive and uncommonsensical for anybody to stage a protest in Nigeria, especially in the major cities now, without defining how the project would be, how the protest will be. You have to check the mood of the nation, the mood of the people. People are still grieving. They've lost properties. Not because of your actions, but by actions and inactions. Yes.
But the protesters are not looking at that.
That's one. Number two, the police, they're still grieving. Every day, if you read the papers, the police is losing people. 6 just got drowned just performing their duties in Bayelsa. Any kidnap case you hear these days, you see that the first people they kill are the policemen guiding those people. Every day, called clashes, police will be dropped. So you have to be very, very careful. Now, if we're saying we want to stage a protest again, are we streamlining and restricting ourselves to, for example, Muri-Okola Park or the park in somewhere?
Okay, let me get to. Is that possible to streamline the protest in such a way that it does not affect economic activities?
There is nothing impossible. Nothing on earth that is not impossible. And I really, really share what Sijibomi said about the leaders, the elders, who are in sync, who are in sync with what the youth did at that time, but did not give them adequate guidance.
Were you expecting that to happen when we saw all that transpire?
No, you see, between you and me, a critical evaluation, because as a political technocrat, I have tried as much as possible to evaluate everything that happened. You're going to see that even before the protest, there are some people up there who are not youth that pulled a particular string. And in pulling that string, they have been able to mobilize the youth through some other youth that has big followership. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Big followership. And to that extent, even most of these youth didn't even know. I asked some of them. They didn't even know why they're on the street. Like one guy, some people, he said, Baba, I've got Jobani. We want to take over government, and we have taken over government. Okay, you have taken over government. Why are you still on the street? Do you understand? There are a lot of issues that happen at that time. But, no doubt about it. See, no doubt about it. Police had gone beyond policing the people. There are a lot of excesses that they have exhibited. There are a lot of trauma that they have inflicted on the people. There are a lot of people that are not happy with them. Okay? No doubt about that. But, when we're now saying, let us end SARS, the government now brought up another one. Because there is no state in the whole world that can stop without policing their environments. Okay? Now, come. They said, no, we don't want. Okay, we want this, we want that, we want reform. Okay. Reformation can never be done in a day. These are policy issues that has to go over, through a particular process. And that is why I was in tune with what he said, that the leadership, the elders that are in sync with them did not direct those youths properly. They're supposed to say, okay, government is now calling us for a roundtable discussion.
Let's suspend it.
Let us suspend it and go for that. And then see what comes out of it. If truly it is that reformation you are looking for.
Okay.
It cannot be done on the street. It cannot be done while warring. Because when you war, you are still going to come back to Georgia.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'm afraid that's the time we have at this point to discuss this. Thank you so much for talking to us on the Breakfast Show on these issues. Sijibomi Adebiyi-Benet, thank you so much. And of course, Dayo Kayode, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you for having us.